Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Joining us on the line now is Steve Cadigan. He's the former VP of Global Talent at LinkedIn and the author of Workquake. He's one of the world's leading experts on the future of work and how artificial intelligence is transforming talent and organizations. He regularly advises Fortune 500 companies and top-tier startups. Steve is going to be the keynote speaker at the upcoming CTX Tech Summit, which takes place in Sevilla this weekend, March the 19th and 20th, where he's going to be delving deeper into these topics with leading European technology figures. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here.
It's lovely to have you with us. And are you excited to come to Spain?
I'm always excited to come to Spain. Great people, great ideas, and above all, amazing food.
Oh, yes, definitely. I can vouch for that. So when you go to these events, it must be nice meeting other people in the same kind of field and businesses as you.
Especially now. We have more challenges, more uncertainty, more things that we're trying to reconcile that are new than at any time in the history of work. And surrounding yourself with people who are grappling with the same challenges, I think, is an extremely healthy practice. And that's why we've tried to invite people all over the world. And interestingly enough, I was talking to the organizers yesterday, and they say we have as many people coming from outside of Spain as inside Spain to help try to figure out this crazy artificial intelligence tidal wave we're facing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So let's jump straight into AI. It is a big topic when it comes to businesses. A lot of both employers and employees, I think, are maybe a bit concerned about AI, the idea that it could replace humans work-wise, which is obviously a bit scary. But it's the idea is to look at it in a way that it can enhance your business as opposed to replacing humans, I hope.
Well, that's the promise. The promise is that artificial intelligence can be additive. And unfortunately, what we see most in the media right now is how it's replacing people, not amplifying humanity. And that's really a big part of the research that I'm undertaking right now. And for those of you that are not doing anything on the 19th and 20th, come and hear more. But I think the central premise is all the research we have right now is proving that very few companies are seeing real material profit increases by replacing people with technology. Very few. Okay. And the companies that are seeing a material increase in profits are small also. But what those companies are doing, and a McKinsey report that came out the end of 2025 said very clearly in their sort of State of the Union of AI said, only 6% of companies are seeing a real difference with AI, and those are the ones that are augmenting human performance, unlocking new skills, unlocking insights on how we can grow new markets, not how do we replace humans and thoughts and creativity and innovation. And that's sort of the real contradictory moment that we face right now is we want to use this new technology to be more successful, and yet we don't have a lot of evidence on how to do it very well yet because we're all just trying it out for the first time. Yeah. And that's and that's why, this conference, what we're trying to do at CTX is really sort of say, hey, let's share some of the wins, some of the mistakes, and some of the lessons that we're learning right now because we are making the sausage as we speak right now. It's a very, very difficult moment. And what's particularly hard for the workforce is you're not going to get people to change when they're coming at it from a point of fear. And if you as a company say, let's use AI to replace people, how effectively are you going to be able to recruit people in the future? Not very, right? Yeah. So how about if you say, we're going to use AI and our governing principles, our true, our North Star is that we're going to make people greater. We're going to allow you to make a bigger difference and realize more impact. And I think that's the exciting part, is seeing how we can amplify human performance rather than replace it with AI.
Yeah, it's using it as a tool, isn't it? And I think with all advancements in technology that we've seen over the years, initially it is a bit scary because you think, oh no, the world's changing. This is all new. What if it's going to, put people out of work, or if it's going to replace other things that we've had in other strategies that we've had in place for so many years. But it's just understanding how it works, getting some experts in to maybe train you or certain people in the company to know how it works, and then using it to your advantage.
That's right. And you bring up a great point. The best way to learn is to experiment right now. And one of the things that I find is a struggle for a lot of organizations is if you have built a command and control organization, do what I tell you, and don't be independent in your thought, you're going to really struggle with this because AI doesn't come with a playbook. AI doesn't come with a reference guide or a set of consultants that show you how to do it. It's basically, here is an incredible amount of resources that, depending upon what you do and how you do it, what your culture is and what your objectives are, you can apply it in thousands of different ways. And so it requires experimentation. And that means there are going to be some mistakes and some failures and some lessons learned. But that's the only way we can go. And the companies that are really thriving with AI right now have cultures of experimentation, cultures that learn from failure, that don't punish failure. And that's a big lesson. And if you don't have a culture of experimentation, that's really hard to change to become one. It really is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the point that we're looking at right now. And listen, command and control worked in a world of work that was changing very slowly, in a world of work that wasn't facing all these new things. And the greatest example I can give you is the number one most valuable car company in the world is the one that hasn't been around the longest. It's the one that is run by a man who's a little bit of a lunatic and has 6 part-time jobs. And that company, Tesla, has only been around for 25 years, and they're worth more than every car company in the world combined right now.
Wow.
More than Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, General Motors, Ford. They're worth more than all of them combined because the investor community believes they can innovate, right? New people with new perspectives, they can experiment. And the companies that have been doing it the same way for 100 years are struggling because they've been doing it the same way for 100 years. And in a world that's changing quickly, that's not a strength. Right.
Yeah.
And so that feels really uncomfortable. Wait, the automobile manufacturers are saying, this is how we got here. Our proven track record doesn't work in a world the same way it used to when things are changing as fast as they are right now. And now electricity is replacing oil. And so that's just that's a great lesson for all of us to take, not to say that, let's get crazy and experiment every day, but recognize that for us to learn in this moment of lots of, new innovation and new technology, we're going to have to try new things more than we ever have before.
Yeah. Stepping back from AI to social media, for example, I still speak to people who either have businesses or have written books and want to get their books out there who aren't on social media. And a lot of people blame their age. They might say, oh, no, I'm too old for social media, or I don't use social media at my age, which is a bit of a lame excuse because I know a lot of people of a certain age who are on social media. So that's not really a reason, I don't think. And, you just kind of go, if you want to sell your book, if you want people to know about your company, your brand, whatever it might be, you need to be on social media.
Yeah, I would do a reframe like this for the people, because I have many friends similar to the ones you're mentioning right now that are rejecting this social media. And let's be honest, it's not a nirvana. It's not a perfect platform. There's still a lot of privacy issues and so forth. But if you want to sell something, you want to be in front of the eyeballs and the ears. And where are they right now? They're online, scrolling through, doom scrolling through, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's some other platform. And that's where you want to be, right? You want to be where the eyeballs are. And even though I grew up helping build LinkedIn, as you mentioned in the introduction, I've still found plenty of customers through posts that I've done on TikTok where I'm saying, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what gets me excited. And somebody saw it and said, hey, I saw your TikTok. We're facing that problem in our company. Would you come and help us make sense of it? And so whether it's a book, whether it's a concept, whether it's an idea, whether it's a consulting service that you're selling, go where the people are. And increasingly right now, what's really impressive from Google's standpoint is YouTube is blowing up right now, and YouTube Shorts is sort of the equivalent of what TikTok's been doing, very short videos. People are finding that they're able to monetize a lot of business by posting that. And, what's interesting is I would rather be sold by the person whose, product is, who's the creator, rather than some commercial, right? I want to see, and that's the really cool part. And TikTok's retail business is exploding because the people who are building stuff are talking about, hey, here's my chocolate. Here's my fudge factory. Here's the shoes that I made by hand. Look at me make them. And people are really connecting with that rather than some Hollywood produced infomercial, which people don't relate to as much, right?
Yeah.
And so I would also say to the people who are a little bit shy about social media is it doesn't require an acting degree or it doesn't require a master's in English. Just get out there and be human and make mistakes and be normal. That's what people really want today, like a human experience. Right?
Definitely. People appreciate that more. You know, you don't need to have a whole hair and makeup team and an expensive dress and a beautiful setting, all that kind of stuff. If you're selling whatever you might be selling, jam that you make, people want to see you making it in your normal looking kitchen.
So true.
With an apron on that's a bit dirty. And, you know, as you say, people relate to normal people, and the more normal you are, I think the more people will love your videos and ultimately buy into your brand.
Yeah. And isn't that the real reason why we don't want to over-index on AI? You know, and shouldn't technology serve creating a greater human experience? Isn't that what technology is for, to make our lives more beautiful? And unfortunately, and a lot of leaders I talk to don't like to hear this, we've lost our relationship with technology. We've got more people stressed out, anxious, behind on email, feeling like they're losing out because they're going to social media. And look at all those people having fun. We're not having that much fun. And it's a false reality. And let's get a control of our technology relationship and use AI to help buy us more time to experience the real joys of being a human being.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the things I'm researching right now is the greatest moments of creativity and innovation happen in the quiet moments. They don't happen after you've had 30 Zoom meetings in a row. They don't happen after you've been grinding for 14 hours on some kind of project. It happens in the quiet moments when you're on a walk, when you're waking up or you're sleeping or you're driving a car or you're riding a bike or something, and you're not distracted by technology. And we need to make space for that right now. And there is definitely a place for technology in our world, but let's make sure we're serving it to our advantage. Let's build the world that we want and not get served a world that is so technology obsessed.
Yeah. And also, I think a lot more, I mean, some companies, particularly bigger companies, would do this automatically, but some of the smaller companies, I think it's really important that they get the experts in instead of trying to learn and do everything themselves and giving people who have already got too much work to do another job to do. Get someone in who knows what they're doing. And I think that sometimes doesn't always happen when it comes to online marketing, digital marketing, social media. They think, oh, no, we can do that ourselves. And, if you needed stuff done in your house electricity wise, you'd get an electrician. You wouldn't start pulling wires out of the wall thinking maybe I can do this myself.
That's right. And I think that's super helpful. Surround yourself with people that know more than you do to give you confidence to be able to do it. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about, I have young children, a bunch of teenagers and a few in their early 20s, and they're so helpful for me to understand the technology because they've grown up with not expecting the technology is going to work, and the greatest example, when we went through COVID and my father was so frustrated because he couldn't understand how to turn his camera on Zoom. And we kept saying, go to that little thing in the left-hand corner of the window. He goes, what's a window? What thing in the left corner? And he was expecting, like, why am I using a product that's not easy to use? Yeah. And my kids are like, they're not expecting the product's going to work. They're expecting failure. They're expecting this is not fully formed. And so they'll try this, unplug, plug it in and open this and close. And it's a beautiful mindset that we need to, remember that, multi-generations can bring really healthy perspectives to help us grow and learn. Like you say, find people who like the equivalent of an electrician to solve our electricity problems, whether it's social media or digital marketing, whatever. Yeah.
And I want to ask you about your time at LinkedIn. How long were you there for?
I was there for, at the time, 4 years, half the shelf life of the company. So when I joined, it was 4 years old. When I left, it was about 8. But it was 4 years from 2009 through 2012. And during that time, we grew from 400 to 4,000 people. We had employees in 2 countries when I started, and we had them in 17 when I left, and we had 2 offices when we went to 26. It was just 4 years that felt like 20, if I'm honest.
Gosh, amazing. And for anyone listening who doesn't know or use LinkedIn, can you just explain what it is and how and why it works?
Sure. LinkedIn was built with the belief that in a world that's changing quickly, who you know is more important than what you know. And so trying to connect you to people and ideas that help you and that can serve you. And the biggest business that it serves right now is it's a recruiting platform. That's probably the biggest business. They have over 1 billion members now worldwide, and people use it to look for talent to hire. But I use it to publish a lot of my white papers, a lot of my articles, a lot of my posts, to share articles that I find interesting, to announce that I'm going to be in Sevilla next week, and keep up with people I used to work with. I mean, some people think, well, I shouldn't use LinkedIn. I'm not looking to hire anyone. I'm not looking for a job. No, it is a enormous minefield of great knowledge sharing and information and insights. And it's interesting, as we're recording this today, my wife just started using LinkedIn actively about a week ago. Okay.
Amazing.
And she's in the dental profession, but she's morphing into becoming a consultant on caregiving for elderly. Okay. And every day she's like, oh my gosh, I found someone that does what I do. And I found this incredible article, and she's growing by, every day connecting with more people that do what she does, that care about what she cares about, that are writing about things. And she had no idea the treasure of insights that she could reveal. And I just sit there and go, oh, really, honey? Oh, that's so great. Whoever built that platform must have been really smart.
Brilliant. And it is for people who don't use a lot of social media, it is different to other social media platforms. It's not like LinkedIn. It's not like Twitter. It's not like Facebook. It has its own uniqueness about it, doesn't it?
That's right. That's right. You have to sort of play with it. Like my people who are new will still say, hey, someone wants to be my friend. I go, nope, it's not a friend request. It's a connection request. Okay. And there's a little, maybe a little less, a little more professional environment. We're sharing, hey, here's some research I did. Here's a really interesting story about the economics of such and such, or here's the political, impact of, whatever's happening in a certain domain or regulatory environment. So, yeah. And you can customize your experience to, include the things that interest you and exclude the things that don't. So I think it's pretty useful. Gosh, I'm a complete junkie, and obviously I'm very biased as someone who was on the executive team for a number of years, but I think it's stood the test of time better than some of the other ones. And it's really been additive for me professionally and financially.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's not the one where you post a photo of you drinking sangria on the beach. right. Keep Instagram for that.
True. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the talk that you're going to be doing at this tech summit. What can people expect to hear?
Well, what I'm really focused on a lot this year and recently is this notion of trust, that we have a real moment in time to build a better future work, but it's not going to go very well if we don't have the trust of the people around us, and that we have the most disengaged, the most sort of unhappy leadership demographic since we've been measuring engagement of leaders. It's sitting at around 29% of leaders are feeling really excited right now. And we also have a really troubling number that only 12% of the global workforce really has confidence in their leadership. Like, you got this is going on. And so I'm trying to say, listen, we need to recognize that while all of you are rushing to solve artificial intelligence in your business, people are not ready. And people are suspicious, and people are fearful that your motives are not in their best interests. So we need to sit back and understand that we need to take the pulse of how do we build trust. And so I'm going to be offering suggestions on how to do that. And I'm also, here's the teaser, I'm also going to be outlining why I believe that Europe, and particularly Western Europe and Spain, have a significant advantage in an AI dominant world, given some of the cultural history, some of the linguistic strengths that, Latin culture is a good part of the world. And that means there's a ton of content out there for AI to be, benefiting people. So I'm going to share some of those insights too.
Fantastic. Exciting. Well, if people want to book for the summit, what's the best way for them to do that? They can get it all online, can't they?
Essentially, the summit's free. It's 20 euros. Okay. And if you really, really are desperate to go and you don't want to pay 20 euros, find me on LinkedIn and I will get you a VIP pass. Okay.
Amazing.
You particularly, Hannah, if you want to go, I've got you covered. But yeah, super easy. We're expecting north of 5,000 people.
Wow.
So this is not trivial. And the restaurants and the tapas bars better be ready for us because we are coming in force.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. So if people want more information, they can have a look online if they just type in the CTX Tech Summit, which is taking place in Sevilla this weekend, March the 19th and the 20th. And Steve Cadigan will be there. And it's Steve who we've been chatting with today. Steve, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.